This is Jarrod Horak for the RunawayHorse.com. This is my latest Breeders' Cup preview video, and in this video I'm going to preview the 2022 Breeders' Cup Classic. Now, they drew the pre-entries earlier today for both Breeders' Cup days for Friday, November 4th, Saturday, November 5th, the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland this year. And if you're interested in my annual two-day Breeders' Cup full cards, you will be able to find those full cards at the RunawayHorse.com on my sales page, Breeders' Cup Week. And those full cards will be completed after post positions are drawn next week. And I have a pre-sale going on right now. So if you go over to the RunawayHorse.com and you go over to my sales page, I'm offering the Breeders' Cup Friday, Saturday, or both days. Now, if you purchase right now, you'll get $2 off Breeders' Cup Friday, $2 off Breeders' Cup Saturday, or if you want the Friday, Saturday package, you'll get $4 off. Those sale prices are up on the site right now, and that sale goes through October 31st. And then after that, they will revert to the regular prices. So if you're interested in those sale prices, head on over to the RunawayHorse.com, click on my sales page, and you can pre-purchase those products. I'm going to do some more Breeders' Cup preview videos later this week, but I wanted to get a Classic preview in tonight because I know a lot of people are interested in the Classic this year, especially with the presence of Flightline in that race. And now let's do that preview of the Breeders' Cup Classic. And the Breeders' Cup Classic will be the 11th race at Keeneland on Saturday, November 5th, 2022. Grade 1, $6 million purse, 3-year-olds and up, 1.25 miles on the main track. And the scheduled post time will be 5:40 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'll do these entrants in alphabetical order. Cyberknife is the first one I'll talk about. Very consistent runner for trainer Brad Cox. This one is the son of Gun Runner. And he's run 11 times in his career, 5 wins, 3 seconds, and a third place finish. He's banked more than $1.9 million in his career, and he's won a couple Grade 1 races this year, the Arkansas Derby in the spring, and then he also won the Haskell Stakes at Monmouth Park this summer. He exits a runner-up finish, or a third place finish in the Pennsylvania Derby. Before that, he was a runner-up finisher in the Travers Stakes. Epicenter beat him in the Travers. Taiba beat him in the Pennsylvania Derby. Pretty handily in those last 2 races. He was beaten 6 3/4 lengths and more than 5 lengths in that Travers Stakes. So he's one that he's going to need to step up his game. If you look at his overall form going back to December of 2021, he's just been in steady training, running in one race after another. And he's been hanging in there and holding his own. But his last 2 races weren't as sharp as he was earlier this year when he won the Matt Winn and Haskell in back-to-back races. And now he's going to be facing a tough field of older runners, and he's going to have to step up his game. Epicenter will be the next one I talk about. Another very consistent 3-year-old. He's run 10 times with 6 wins and 3 seconds. In his career debut, he was 6th in a 7-furlong sprint. Since then, he's been 1st or 2nd in all of his races. And he's one that was in steady training from the fall of 2021 all the way through the spring of this year. And he was in really good form for a while. He was second by a head in the Lecomte Stakes, and then he won the Risen Star in the Louisiana Derby. He was second in the Kentucky Derby, rallying from off the pace, and that pace was wicked that day. The Preakness Stakes, he broke slow, and he rallied, and he finished second there. And then in the Jim Dandy and the Travers, back-to-back wins. He can get this 1.25 mile distance. He has running style versatility. He's fresh, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ran a decent race. The next one will be Flightline, and everybody knows about Flightline. He's 5 for 5 lifetime, won his debut in the spring of 2021 by 13 lengths, and then in his next start against Optional Claiming Company, he won by 12. The Grade 1 Malibu in his third start, first by 11. He won the Met Mile easily by more than 6 lengths, and then the Pacific Classic, a huge effort there, 19-length victory, and his speed figure went through the roof. He's one that has an average winning distance of more than 12 lengths per start. So no one's ever gotten close to this horse. He's one that he has some early pressing speed. He doesn't need the lead. He did not get the lead in the Met Mile from the inside post, but he just dominated that race. And then in the Pacific Classic, he didn't have the early lead, and they swung him out around the first turn. He took over, and he just rolled. And he's one that can just get out there and position himself anywhere towards the front. And then he just takes off and dominates his races. And if he runs like he did in the Pacific Classic, there's no one in this field that is going to get close to him. Happy Saver is the next one for trainer Todd Pletcher. He's had some success in 1.25 miles, 3 starts with a win, a second, and a third. He's finished in the top 3 in 11 of his 12 lifetime starts, but the one time he didn't finish in the top 3 was in the Lucas Classic last time out. Prepping for this race, he ended up finishing 4th, beating 5 lengths. So he's one that you have to go pretty far back to find his last win. It was an optional claiming race, May of 2021. So he's been hitting the board in some stakes races, like the Jockey Club Gold Cup of 2021, the Clark Handicap, he was second there. The Met Mile, Flightline wiped him out there, he was second. And then Life is Good beat him in the Whitney. And then the Lucas Classic last time, Hot Rod Charlie and Rich Strike beat him. So he's going to have to step up his game. He doesn't seem to be in his best form heading into this race. Hot Rod Charlie, very consistent 4-year-old, 14 out of 18 in the top 3. He's earned more than $5.5 million in his career. He's run a Keeneland once, and he finished second in that race in his lone start at Keeneland. He's got a couple wins at 1.25 miles. So he won Haskell and was disqualified last year. He was second in the Belmont Stakes. San Antonio earlier this year, or late last year, he finished second by a nose. So he always comes close. He was second by a head in the Salvatore Mile. The Whitney, he was third. Then in the Lucas Classic, he did beat Rich Strike by a head there last time out. He was 4th in the Breeders' Cup Classic last year, but with the presence of Flightline and some promising 3-year-olds in here, he's meeting a much deeper field for this Breeders' Cup Classic, and he's going to have to step up his game. He did win last time, but his speed figure did drop. He's going to have to run a much better race. He does have some positional speed. Life is Good, your most likely pace setter in this race. He's 9 for 11 with a runner-up finish in his career, and he won his last 3 starts. 7 furlong grade 2 at Belmont Park in July. He won that one, wiring the field. He wired the field in the Whitney at 1 1/8 on a good track. And then in the slop in the Woodward, he got out there in a 4-horse field. He controlled the pace and he won that one. His only start at 1.25 miles was in the grade 1 Dubai World Cup, and he controlled the pace and he weakened to finish 4th. In that race, Country Grammar and Hot Rod Charlie finished in front of him, and he did just miss 3rd that day. So he's one that this distance is going to be a problem for him probably. He's more like a miler that can stretch his speed 1 1/8 when things go right for him. He did win the Pegasus World Cup earlier this year when he controlled the pace and got out there. He's going to be out there, but Flightline's going to be breathing down his neck. And if Flightline, just based on his overall form, he's brilliant and he's got the ability to just go right past a horse like Life is Good, especially at 1.25 miles. But Life is Good looks like the one to catch. Olympiad is the next one. Bill Mott is the trainer. He's 1 for 1 at Keeneland. That was a victory back in 2021. And he's had a good year. He's 6 for 7 this year. And he won the Mine Shaft, the New Orleans Stakes, the Ali Sheba, the Stephen Foster. And then he ended up finishing 4th in the Whitney behind Life is Good. And then he bounced back in the Jockey Club Gold Cup at 1.25 miles, winning that one against American Revolution. For this horse, he's got some positional speed, but he's going to have to run a bit faster. He was faster in the spring and the winter this year, and he did win the Jockey Club Gold Cup, but his speed figure dropped a bit, and he's going to work out a decent tactical trip probably, but he's going to have to run faster. Rich Strike was a stunning Kentucky Derby winner earlier this year. He was 80 to 1. He got in from the also eligible list, and from post 20, with the wicked pace, he rallied from well off the pace, and he got a really good ride from Sonny Leon to win that one by 3/4 of a length over Epicenter and Zandon. After that, he struggled. In the Belmont Stakes, he was 6th, beaten 13 lengths. The Travers Stakes, he was 4th. And then in the Lucas Classic, he did bounce back and finish 2nd. If you look at his form in his best 3 races, his maiden win, that was September of 2021 at Churchill Downs by 17 lengths. The Kentucky Derby was at Churchill Downs, and he won that one. And then the Lucas Classic was at Churchill Downs, and he missed by a head. So he really elevates his game at that oval, and he doesn't quite run the same races when he's away from Churchill Downs. He's going to probably be last early trying to rally, and maybe he can get a piece of it if the pace does heat up. Taiba will be the last entrant in the Breeders' Cup Classic this year, and he's one that he has a lot of upside. He's only run 5 times, 3 wins and a 2nd. He was brilliant in his career debut in March at 6 furlongs at Santa Anita Park, won that one by 7 lengths. Santa Anita Derby, 2nd career start. So they pushed him right in there against the big boys. And in his 2nd start, after that 6 furlong maiden win, the 1 1/8 Santa Anita Derby, he stalked wide. He ran down his stablemate Messier, and he won by a couple lengths. They threw him in the Kentucky Derby too much too soon. The pace was quick. He was chasing that pace, and he finished 12th, beaten 17 lengths. So can't hold that against him. He was an unraced 2-year-old with only 2 starts going into the Kentucky Derby. He just wasn't prepared to run a race like that. The Haskell Stakes, he ran a decent race against Cyberknife. Cyberknife did defeat him by a head that day, but Taiba covered much more ground than Cyberknife did. Cyberknife rallied inside, Taiba was rallying wide, and he ended up just missing. And then the Pennsylvania Derby, he put it all together from an outer post. He stalked, he took over, he won by more than 3 lengths. If you look at his late pace ratings, they're solid. I think he's probably looking overall, he's another son of gun runner, looking at him with only those 5 starts, and he's got a tremendous amount of upside, and he's probably the most likely horse. If Flightline runs his best race, he's going to win. Taiba could be the most likely exacta finisher in here. Looking at his strong late pace ratings, he's still lightly raced, and his best races should be in front of him, and I would think that he has a good shot to hit the board. So looking at my early thoughts on the Breeders' Cup Classic, obviously Flightline's the one to beat. If he runs his race, he's going to win this easily. I think the most likely exacta finisher is Taiba. I think he has a decent shot to maybe get in there and finish a second and a few lengths probably behind Flightline if he runs his race. So they're the most likely two at this point. And then I would say Epicenter would be my third choice. He's had a solid year. I like the fact that he's been freshened since that Triple Crown campaign. They've given him plenty of time. And he's sharp and he's versatile. They can place him anywhere. He can handle the distance, and he would be my third choice at this point. So right now, Breeders' Cup Classic 2022, after the pre-entries came out, my top 3 are Flightline, Taiba, and Epicenter. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you like this content. That will wrap up this early preview of the Breeders' Cup Classic. And as I said, I'll be back later this week. I'll be previewing some more of the Breeders' Cup 2022 races. And I'll see you next time. Good luck at the races.